The wind screamed across the icy plain. Sharp snowflakes cut through the air like tiny blades. The sky was a dull gray, and the sun had not been seen for days. A woman walked slowly, step by heavy step. Her boots sank into the deep snow. Her arms were wrapped tightly around a small bundle, her daughter. The girl's face was pale, her lips blue. She was not moving. The mother's name was Lyra. She was not from this planet. Nobody was. Their ship had crashed 2 nights ago during an evacuation mission. Only a few people survived. And now, maybe only Lyra and her daughter were left. Lyra's suit was torn. Her gloves were wet. The cold was biting into her bones. Her vision blurred from the snowstorm, but she kept walking. "I won't let you die," she whispered to her daughter. Her voice was cracked and weak. There was no signal. Her comm device was dead. The ship's wreck was miles behind them, burning in the snow. She had carried her daughter this whole time. Food was gone. The heat pack failed hours ago. They were lost. Alone. The girl stirred, just a little. A small, painful sound came from her lips. "Stay with me," Lyra said. She looked down at her child's face, frozen tears on her cheeks. Lyra looked around. Nothing. Only white emptiness. The snow never stopped falling. The sky never cleared. Was this how it was going to end? She dropped to her knees. Her legs were numb. She opened her jacket, ignoring the freezing air that hit her chest. Carefully, she placed her daughter inside her coat, close to her skin. Her body heat was all she had left to give. She held the girl tight, rocking slightly, her lips trembling from cold and fear. A whisper of wind passed. A strange sound followed. A crunch like something walking on snow. Lyra raised her head. Far ahead in the white fog, a figure. She blinked hard. Was it real? Her heart jumped. The figure was walking slow, steady steps. It was tall, wearing something dark. "Help!" she tried to call, but her voice barely left her throat. The figure came closer. Now she could see. It was a man, but not one of their crew. His suit was old, scratched. It had the Earth symbol on the chest. He wore a helmet with a cracked visor. Impossible. There had been no human colony on this planet. No contact for years. This system was marked abandoned. The man stopped a few meters away. He raised one hand slowly, not a weapon. A greeting. Peaceful. Lyra couldn't believe it. Her mind screamed it was a dream. He came closer, knelt beside her. His voice came through a weak speaker on his helmet. "You need help," he said calmly. She could only nod. He opened a small pouch and pulled out a heat pod. He cracked it in his hand, and warm steam rose. He placed it between the child and her chest. "She's cold, but alive," he said. "We have to move." Lyra looked at him with tired eyes. "Who are you?" The man looked at her for a moment, then spoke. "Call me Rian. I crashed here 3 years ago." She gasped. 3 years? How had he survived? "I found an old research station, hidden underground, still working. There's heat, water, some food." Lyra felt tears in her eyes. This time not from pain, but from hope. "Can you carry her?" he asked gently. Lyra nodded weakly. "Yes, I can." "Good. We have to go now," he said, looking over his shoulder. "Before night. Before they come." She froze. "They?" He didn't answer. Instead, he offered his hand. Lyra took it. He helped her to her feet. She pulled her coat tighter around the child, the warmth of the pod keeping the girl's skin from freezing. Together, they began walking toward the fog. Rian walked ahead, his boots making deep prints in the snow. Lyra followed, heart pounding. The snow still fell, but now there was a path, and someone who knew the way. But in the white silence behind them, a dark shape moved. Something was watching. The snowstorm grew quieter, but the cold still burned. The sky was darker now. A soft blue glow came from the cracked visor of the man called Rian. He walked ahead, silent and fast, while Lyra followed, her legs shaking. She still carried her daughter inside her coat, close to her chest. Every breath was pain, but they kept moving. Rian had not said a word for the last 10 minutes. His back was straight, his hands always near the old rifle on his side. Lyra couldn't help it. "Why haven't you gone back?" she asked, her voice weak. "To Earth," Rian said without turning. "There is no way back. Not yet. But the signal, if the station works," Lyra began. Rian stopped suddenly. He turned, slowly, like he had heard something in the wind. Lyra froze. She looked around. Only snow. Only silence. "Talk less," he said. "They listen." Lyra frowned. "Who?" He walked again. "You'll see. Or you won't." "That's better." Her heart raced. What was he talking about? She had thought this planet was dead. Just cold, snow, ice. Was something else here? Soon they reached a ridge. Below it was a cave almost hidden by the snow. A thin stream of smoke curled from it, barely visible. "This way," Rian said. Inside the cave was a steel door half covered in ice. Rian pressed his hand to a broken scanner. A few lights blinked, and with a heavy groan, the door opened. Warm air hit Lyra's face for the first time in days. The inside was dark, rusty, but warm. Old lights blinked on. Screens hummed. This was not a new base. It was ancient, probably built long before her ship ever left Earth. Rian helped her sit on an old bench. He pulled the child gently from her coat and placed her on a heated pad. The girl stirred. "She's alive," he said. "Barely." Lyra touched her daughter's face, tears falling again. "Thank you," she whispered. Rian stood still, watching them with unreadable eyes. Then, slowly, he removed his helmet. He looked human but tired. His skin was pale, like he had not seen sunlight in years. A scar crossed his left cheek. 3 years here," he said. "Time moves differently." Lyra looked up. "What do you mean?" He didn't answer. Instead, he turned to a control panel on the wall. He pressed a few buttons. A screen lit up. It showed a map of the planet. But it wasn't a natural one. Lines, patterns, shapes, underground structures. "This planet was made," he said quietly. "Not formed. Not born. Built." Lyra stared. "By who?" "No one knows. We call them the Makers," he said. "I found files. Old ones. Buried in the system. This place was their lab." A chill deeper than cold ran through Lyra. "They left?" she asked. "No. Some of them still remain." She didn't speak. Couldn't. Rian turned to her. "The crash. It wasn't an accident. Your ship was redirected." "What?" she said. "That's impossible. I found the signal. It came from this planet," Rian replied. "It called you here." "But why us?" she whispered. He looked at the child, sleeping now warmer. "Because of her," he said. Lyra froze. "What are you saying?" "She's not a normal child," Rian said softly. "She's connected to them, to this place. That's why they brought you here." Lyra stood quickly, heart pounding. "No, that's not true. She's my daughter." "She is," Rian said calmly. "But she's also more than that. And they want her back." As if to answer his words, the lights flickered. A strange hum echoed through the walls. Rian's face changed. He grabbed his helmet and sealed it. "They found us." He ran to the door, pulling it shut and locking it. Lyra held her child close. "What's coming?" "Not creatures," Rian said. "Not machines." "Then what?" He looked at her with serious eyes. "Watch the screen." Lyra turned. Outside the cave, in the snowstorm, something was walking, but it didn't leave footprints. It moved like a shadow. It had no clear shape. Its head turned, like it was sniffing the air. Then it stopped and looked straight at the camera. Lyra stepped back. The screen turned black. "They can't come inside," Rian said. "Not yet." She looked at him. "How do you know all this? Who are you really?" He looked down, then at her. "I used to be like you," he said. "Just another human trying to survive." He paused. "But now, I'm the only one left who remembers why we were warned never to come here." The lights in the bunker flickered again. Lyra held her daughter tightly, heart thudding. The screen was still black, but she could feel something outside, waiting. Rian stood near the control panel, scanning signals, his face hard and focused. They won't try to come in yet, he said. But when night falls fully, they'll test the walls. Lyra looked around the bunker. It was strong but old. Rust on the steel. Cracks in the corners. Could it hold? What are they? She asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Rian didn't look at her. They were once watchers. Now they are hunters. We call them night creatures. He pointed to a wall map. Red marks surrounded their location like claws reaching inward. They feed on warmth, movement, memory. Lyra blinked. Memory? Rian nodded. If they touch you, they don't just kill you. They take your thoughts, your face, your voice. They wear you like a coat. Lyra shivered. That's not possible. Nothing on this planet should be possible, Rian said. But it is. Suddenly, a soft thump echoed through the bunker. Lyra turned sharply. What was that? Rian raised his hand. Stay quiet. Another thump. Then scratching. Something was crawling across the bunker roof. The sound was slow, sharp, like claws on metal. Lyra covered her daughter's ears. The child was still asleep, but her body twitched like she was having a nightmare. Rian moved toward a storage case and pulled out a metal rod. He twisted the handle. A small blue flame flickered from the top. What is that? Lyra asked. Heat flare, Rian said. Only thing they hate more than light is fire. The scratching stopped. For a few seconds, there was silence. Then, a loud bang on the door. Lyra jumped. A voice came from outside. Help, open up. I'm freezing, please. It was a child's voice. Lyra's face went pale. That sounds like... She looked down. Her daughter was still in her arms, eyes closed. The voice outside said again, louder, Please, Mama, I'm cold. Tears filled Lyra's eyes. No, they're trying to trick you, Rian said calmly. It's not her. It's them. The voice changed deeper, twisted. Then silence. Nothing but the sound of Lyra's breathing and the hum of the machines. Rian walked back and placed the flare near the door. This will hold them off. For now. He sat down, finally, and looked at Lyra. I told you before, your daughter is connected to them. Lyra looked away, still shaking. She's just a child. She's also a key, Rian said. This planet reacts to her. Pulled your ship here, I think. The creatures know she's the only one who can wake the makers. Wake them? Lyra asked. They've been sleeping under this ice for centuries. Watching. Waiting. For something. Or someone. He looked at the girl. I think it's her. Lyra hugged her daughter tighter. She's not theirs. She's mine. Rian nodded. I believe that. But they don't care. The girl stirred. Her eyes opened. For a second they were glowing a soft silver light. Lyra gasped. Your eyes? Baby, your eyes. The girl whispered. They're coming. What? Lyra said. The girl sat up slowly. They're coming for the door. But not from outside. Rian stood up fast. Check the back wall. Lyra turned and saw it. The wall had started to crack. A strange black mist was seeping through. No! Rian shouted. He pulled a second flare and threw it at the wall. Boom! The flame exploded, and the mist screamed. Yes, screamed before pulling back. Lyra held her daughter and backed into the center of the room. We can't stay here, Rian said. This place won't last the night. Where do we go? Lyra asked. There's an old research dome north of here, built for experiments. The system says it's still powered. Lyra looked at her child. The girl's eyes were normal again. She looked tired, but peaceful. Will it be safe? She asked. No, Rian said honestly, but safer than here. He moved quickly to pack supplies. Heat pods, food, a signal booster. Lyra stood. I'll carry her. No, the girl said softly. Both adults turned. The child stood on her own. I can walk now, she said. They gave me something in the dream. A message. What message? Rian asked. She looked at both of them. They said, bring her to the door, and we will spare the humans. Lyra's blood ran cold. They want me to give you to them? The girl shook her head. They want you to choose. Outside, the snow started to fall harder. The wind howled louder than before. Night had truly arrived. And with it, the creatures. They moved through the storm like shadows. Rian in front, Lyra in the middle, and the girl walking silently behind them. Her steps left no sound, even in the deep snow. The wind howled. The sky was ink black now, no stars. Only their small blue lamp lit the path ahead. Behind them, the bunker slowly disappeared into white fog. They'll be inside soon, Rian said without turning. We have to reach the dome before they catch our scent again. How far is it? Lyra asked, holding her daughter's hand tight. 3 kilometers, Rian replied. If we stay quiet, maybe less. The girl didn't speak. She just stared ahead. Her face was calm. Too calm for a child who'd almost died in the snow. Lyra noticed it too. Sweetheart, are you feeling okay? The girl looked up at her, eyes glowing faintly again. I feel warm, she whispered. That word frightened Lyra more than the cold ever had. 30 minutes passed. The storm eased a little, but the silence grew heavier. Finally, Rian pointed at a shape ahead. A large dome, half buried in ice. This is it. Research Dome 9. They reached the metal hatch. Frozen over. Rian placed his hand on the scanner, no response. Locked out, he muttered. Old tech. He pulled out a tool, a spark blade, and started cutting the ice away from the panel. Lyra looked around nervously. The wind had stopped completely. Too quiet. Suddenly, the girl walked forward, placed her hand on the metal wall, and closed her eyes. A low hum echoed from inside. Beep. Access granted. The hatch clicked open. Rian stared at her. How did she? I don't know, Lyra said, voice shaking. Inside the dome, the air was warm. Lights flickered on one by one. Computers beeped. Old machines came to life. They stepped in and sealed the hatch behind them. Lyra looked around. There were metal tables, broken glass tanks, and faded posters on the wall. Some with symbols in Earth language, others in something unrecognizable. What is this place? She asked. Rian wiped dust from a control screen. It blinked and displayed a title. Project. Hybrid Genesis, Class 7. Below it, a date. 2129. That's 30 years ago, Rian said softly. Lyra stepped closer. Hybrid? You mean human-alien fusion, Rian finished. Illegal. Banned across all colonies. Lyra's heart pounded. Why would they do this? Rian tapped into the files. One opened a video log. A tired-looking scientist appeared on screen. She wore a lab coat, and behind her were the same tanks as in the room. Log number 54, the woman said. Subject number 7 shows emotional response. Strong attachment to caretaker. Faster development than predicted. She paused, looking off camera. Command has ordered termination. They're afraid of what she could become. But I can't do it. She's just a child. Lyra felt her legs weaken. The log ended. A new label appeared. Subject number 7, status. Escaped. Rian stared at the screen. Your daughter. She's subject 7. Lyra shook her head. No, I adopted her during the refugee resettlement. She was abandoned, yes, but this? Rian turned to her, serious. They must have erased the records. Moved her out. Hid her in plain sight. The girl stood quietly behind them. I always felt different. Lyra knelt beside her. You're still my daughter. I don't care what this place says. The girl nodded and hugged her. But suddenly, alarms began to blink on the console. Biometric signature detected. Security override incoming. What does that mean? Lyra asked. Rian's face darkened. They know we're here. The lights flickered again. On a nearby monitor, a map showed movement, several red dots approaching the dome fast. They tracked her, Rian said. Her signal woke up the system. And now it's calling them. He ran to a weapons locker and threw Lyra a pulse pistol. We'll have to fight. No, the girl said softly. She walked to the center of the room and looked up at the high dome ceiling. I think there's something else here. Something they were hiding. The floor beneath her lit up. Lines. Symbols. Glowing blue. She was standing on some kind of control ring. Rian shouted, "Get her off!" But it was too late. The lights flashed. The dome groaned. And the center of the room began to open. A platform rose slowly from the ground. On it, a pod. Inside the pod, another child. A twin. Lyra gasped. "What is that?" The girl stared at the pod. Her voice was soft, full of memory. "She was like me, but she didn't escape." Rian checked the readings. "She's alive, frozen, in stasis." The girl touched the glass. "She's still dreaming, and in her dreams, the makers are speaking." The monitor buzzed louder. The red dots were now right outside. Rian looked at Lyra. "We have to make a choice. Wake the twin, or run now." Lyra looked at the girl, then at the pod, then at the door. Whatever they chose, nothing would ever be the same again. The pod stood between them, glowing with a cold blue light. Inside it, the frozen child didn't move, but she looked exactly like Lyra's daughter. Same face, same eyes, same soft curls of hair. Lyra backed away slowly. This can't be real." Rian stood beside the control panel, checking readings. "It's real. DNA match, 99.9%. Same fingerprints. Same blood." Lyra's heart pounded. "You mean, they're clones?" "No," the girl said softly. "We're not copies. We're pieces of the same mind, split into two bodies. That's what they told me in the dream." Rian raised an eyebrow. "Who told you?" "The makers," she said, eyes glowing faintly again. "They're not dead, just sleeping, deep beneath the ice." The pod let out a hiss, releasing cold mist into the air. "She's waking up," Rian said. "Her vitals are rising. We can't stop it now." Lyra stared at her daughter. No daughters. Questions swirled in her mind. Who are they? Why were they created? And what were they meant to become? She reached for her daughter's hand. "You're still my child, no matter what anyone says." The girl nodded, squeezing her mother's hand. "But, Mom," she whispered, "what if I'm not the one who's meant to survive?" The pod opened with a soft click. The second girl stepped out, barefoot, her eyes glowing stronger than the first. She looked around slowly, then at Lyra. "Hello, Mother," she said calmly. Lyra gasped. "You remember me?" The new girl nodded. "I remember everything, from both of us." She walked to the other girl and touched her forehead gently. "We were one once, but they separated us. Gave me the logic, gave you the heart." Rian looked confused. "What does that mean?" "It means," the second girl said, "that only one of us was meant to live, the one who can lead." Lyra stepped between them. "No, you're not enemies." "Not enemies," the new girl agreed, "but not equal. The makers only need one." Suddenly, the alarm flashed again. On the screen, breach detected, hostiles inside the outer wall. "They're here," Rian said, grabbing his weapon. "We have minutes." He looked at both girls. "If they only want one, they'll try to take both just to be sure." The second girl turned toward the hallway. "I can lead them away." "What?" Lyra asked. "They're drawn to me, my energy. If I leave now, they'll follow." "No!" Lyra shouted. "You just woke up. I've been awake for years, inside dreams," she said softly. "I know what they want, and I know what we must do." She looked at Rian. "There's an old satellite uplink near the mountain ridge, right?" Rian nodded. "Yes, but it hasn't worked for." "It will," she said. "You'll fix it, and when you do, Earth will hear." Lyra looked at both girls, her throat tight. "You don't have to sacrifice yourself." The second girl smiled. "I was never meant to live a normal life. Neither of us were." She turned to the first girl, her twin. "Your heart is stronger. Mother made it so. Protect her." Then she walked toward the exit. But the first girl stepped forward. "Wait." She reached out and hugged her. and for a moment the two halves became whole. The door closed behind the second girl. The room was silent again. Lyra knelt beside her daughter. "Are you okay?" "She's still with me," the girl whispered. "In here." Rian didn't speak. He was typing fast, pulling data from the old system. Lyra stood up. "What now?" "We finish what they started," Rian said. "We expose the truth." On the screen, a new file had opened marked Humanity Integration Protocol. Lyra read the first line out loud. "The child of two worlds shall awaken the makers, or destroy them." Rian looked up. "It's a prophecy." "No," Lyra said, eyes focused. "It's a warning." The girl stood up slowly. "I can hear them again. The voices. They're getting louder." "Can you block them?" Rian asked. The girl shook her head. "No, but I can answer them." Lyra placed a hand on her shoulder. "You don't have to. Not yet." But the girl looked at her calmly. "I think I already did." Outside, in the snowstorm, far in the distance, a huge crack formed in the ice. It glowed with blue light. Something ancient had heard the call, and it was waking up. The ground shook. It started as a low hum beneath their feet, then a deep rumble, like the earth was growling from below. Lyra grabbed her daughter's hand. Rian was already checking the bunker walls. "They're waking up," the girl whispered. Rian looked at her. "The makers." The girl nodded slowly. "They heard her, my twin. They're answering now." Lyra's voice cracked. "What does that mean? What happens when they wake up?" No one spoke. Then the main console flashed, red lights across every screen. Life signs detected. Inhuman, massive. Distance. 2.7 kilometers. Approaching fast. Rian cursed under his breath. "We need to move. Now." He grabbed the last emergency pack and pulled out a portable map device. "The satellite uplink is on Mount Sarah. It's the only place we can send a full-range signal." "But that's..." Lyra stopped. She looked at the screen. "Through the ice valley." Rian nodded. "Right through where the old research colonies vanished." The girl looked calm. "They won't chase us. Not yet. They'll go after her first." "You mean your twin?" Lyra asked. "Yes," she replied. "She went south to draw them away." Lyra felt torn. Part of her wanted to go after the other girl. The other part, the mother part, wanted to run, protect the one still standing beside her. "She bought us time," Rian said. "Let's not waste it." The three of them moved fast across the frozen valley. The sky was different now. The clouds were shifting, not natural but almost patterned, like something giant was watching from above. Snow swirled sideways, caught in invisible winds. Below their boots, cracks formed across the ice, glowing faint blue lines like veins under glass. "They built this place like a living thing," Rian muttered. "Not just metal and ice, something more." Lyra looked down. "It's breathing." Then, without warning, "R-O-A-R-R." A sound filled the sky. Not animal. Not machine. It was language. A deep voice that didn't speak in words but thoughts. A pressure inside their minds. The girl fell to her knees, clutching her head. "They're calling me." Lyra dropped beside her. "Don't listen. They want to speak," the girl said, tears in her eyes. "They think I belong to them." "No," Lyra said firmly. "You belong to no one." Rian activated a sonic pulse device from his bag. A high-frequency blocker. The pressure lifted. The girl gasped for air, then slowly stood up. "They're angry now." "Good," Rian said. "Let them be." By nightfall, they reached the base of Mount Sarah. A steep, icy cliff with a broken research tower halfway up. The girl looked up. "That's the uplink?" Rian nodded. "It's not pretty, but if we're lucky, I can power it for one last message." Suddenly, a flash of light behind them. Something massive moved through the clouds. A dark shape, hundreds of meters tall, half floating, half walking across the ice. Not made of metal, not flesh either. Its body shifted, like memory, shadow, and gravity had been stitched together. Lyra froze. "Is that one of them?" The girl didn't answer. She stared at it with calm, glowing eyes. It's not a soldier. It's a seer. What's the difference? Rian asked. The girl whispered. The soldiers destroy. The seers decide. They climbed quickly. Wind howled against the rocks. Ice broke underfoot. Rian reached the old tower first and kicked in the rusted door. Inside, dust and wires. A broken console. An ancient earth flag, torn in the corner. He worked fast. Connected cables. Bypassed old circuits. Lyra held the girl close. She's coming, the girl said. My other self. She's not far behind. Rian's hands moved faster. I just need 2 more minutes. Suddenly, the entire tower shook. Outside, the sky turned white. A beam of light, like a scanner, swept across the landscape from the seer. Then it paused. The girl looked up. It saw me. Not good, Rian muttered. Beep signal online. Yes, he shouted. Sending broadcast now. He hit the transmit key. A deep hum began. The tower glowed. Lyra ran to the edge and looked up. The seer was turning. Now it was walking toward them. Each step left a crater. I don't think it liked that, she said. The message went out across satellites, old relays, deep space beacons. A simple signal. Human survivors. Experimental life form alive. Planet compromised. Need extraction. Then transmission sent. Rian stepped back, breathing hard. Now we run. But the girl didn't move. I need to finish it. What do you mean? Lyra asked. The girl turned to them both. They didn't just build this place to study. They built it as a test. And I'm the last question. She walked to the edge of the tower and looked down. The seer was almost at the mountain base. Then, behind it, another figure appeared. The twin had returned. But something was different. She glowed brighter. Her eyes burned silver. And she held something in her hand. A crystal core, pulsing like a heart. The girl beside Lyra smiled. She found it. What is it? Rian asked. Their key, the girl replied. But she's bringing it to me. Lyra stepped forward. Why? Because only one of us can make the choice. She turned to Lyra, not as a child but as something more, something new, and said, Do you trust me, mother? The wind had stopped. The world was silent, too silent. The sky no longer stormed. The snow no longer fell. Time itself felt frozen. At the edge of the mountain tower, 2 girls stood facing each other. Identical faces, same eyes, same voice. But one held the crystal, glowing, alive, the key to the Maker's network. The other, the one Lyra had raised, held only her own heartbeat, and a choice no child should ever face. Rian stood beside the tower console, watching the energy spike. The seer had stopped below them, no longer advancing. Instead, it waited. So did the others, dark, massive shapes now visible in the distance. 4, 6, 10. Silent titans beneath the ice. They're listening, the twin said, holding the crystal. They want us to choose. Choose what? Lyra asked, her voice tight. Who becomes their speaker? The girl replied. Who they will let live. Who they will shape. She looked at her sister. Calm, glowing, powerful. You are heart, she said. I am mind. Only one can stay. Her sister spoke softly. Then I choose you. Everyone froze. What? Lyra whispered. The girl, the one Lyra had raised, hugged, and protected, stepped forward and smiled. You were made to lead, she said to her twin. I was made to love, but love is stronger. The crystal in her twin's hand flickered. They want perfection, the twin said. They want control. The girl shook her head. No, they want someone who obeys. That's why I say no. She turned and walked back to Lyra, holding her hand tightly. Then she looked up to the sky. I choose to be human. The ground rumbled. The seer let out a long, low sound. Not rage, not warning. Sounded, almost surprised. Then the crystal in the twin's hand dimmed. She looked at it, confused. They're pulling back. Rian checked the readings. The signal is changing. They're shutting down. What did she do? he asked. Lyra looked down at her daughter, who simply smiled. She gave them the one thing they couldn't predict, Lyra said. The girl looked up at the sky. A choice. Suddenly, the clouds above parted. A flash of light streaked across the sky, something entering orbit. A ship. Earth's response. The message had reached them. They're here, Rian said in disbelief. They actually came. The seers, once so terrifying, began to fade. Their forms bent into wind and light, disappearing into the ice. The one below the tower gave one last glance, then vanished. The girl's twin turned to her. They're gone. The girl nodded. We made them listen. The twin stepped forward, her eyes softer now. So what now? The girl looked at Lyra, then Rian. We go home. 2 weeks later, orbit above the frozen planet. Inside the recovery ship, Lyra sat beside her daughter, now clean and dressed in real clothes. For the first time in months, they weren't cold. Outside the window, the planet turned slowly, beautiful, blue-white, and quiet. Are you sure they're gone? Lyra asked. Rian stood nearby. The seers? Yes, but the planet's alive. I think it's always listening. The girl played with a small data pad. On the screen, lines of code danced. What are you doing? Rian asked. She smiled. Writing my own message. To the makers? No, she said. To Earth. Rian leaned closer and read. I am not perfect. I am not designed. I am not a weapon. I am a child. And I choose to be human. He nodded, smiling. That's a good message. Later, as the ship prepared to jump, Lyra and her daughter stood side by side. Do you miss her? Lyra asked. My twin, the girl said. She's still here. I can feel her. Do you think you'll change? Lyra asked. The girl paused, thoughtful. Maybe, but only the way all humans do, little by little. They watched the stars stretch into lines. Home was waiting, not a perfect world, not a quiet world, but their world. And for the first time, the future was theirs to choose.